This is great. It's a LinkedIn Live again. If you haven't seen one of these before, I am talking to all 22 of the authors of the Practical Inspiration titles shortlisted in this year's Business Book Awards. And today I get to talk to Tracey Breeden. It's quite early in the morning where she is. Who's the author of Match Striking for Beginners. So first of all, welcome, Tracey. Thanks for getting up and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's super exciting. So I'm glad to be with you again, even though it's early on my side of the world. So here we are.
We appreciate you. Yeah. So, well, first of all, tell us a little bit about the book. Why did you write it? Yeah. What were you hoping to achieve?
You know what? I wrote the book for so many reasons. And as I reflected on it, even this morning, what keeps coming back to me is three things. And the first thing is I really feel like I have this spiritual calling to create a better world. And I know that me as an individual and sharing my story is really powerful, and understanding that I have the ability, just who I am, to create change. The second reason was really to ignite that, to ignite that power and hope in others. And not just, and that's everyone, but specifically for those in the margins, because we've had to fight through silence. We've had to fight through stigma, and we've had to fight through systems that were created not with us in mind. And so we have these unique challenges, and we have this unique journey. And so for me, it's bringing that unique journey, those unique voices to be heard and elevating them. And that helps ignite that power and hope in others. And what I've also realized, like during this current climate, and the fact that we need to elevate the voices of those in the margins and those who have been impacted, is that if we lose our hope, if we lose our joy, we lose our power to move forward. We lose our power to create change, not only in ourselves, but in others and in the world around us. So that is one of the main reasons that I wrote this book. And the other one is to build community, and to build and create collective action amongst others. Because what I hope is that when people read this book, and I've seen this where people who are a part of the queer community like me who have read it have said, oh my God, for the first time, I feel seen and heard in your story. I feel like my story's out there, because I can't go just pull a book off of a shelf anywhere and find my story or how to navigate difficult times. And so it builds community, not only within my community, but what I really want to see is that it's building community and collective action, even beyond the walls of my community, even beyond the people of my community, because ultimately
principles are universal, aren't they?
Exactly. Well, ultimately, this is not just a women's issue. What you will find in this book, it's not just women's issues. It's not just a gay issue. It is human issues. And if people can recognize, and they can also see themselves in this book, or see that this is a human issue, then we get something bigger that happens out of this. It ignites something bigger, because then people are saying, I see me in that story. I see me in this community. And they start to care about the community differently. And they start
feel empowered. I mean, I think it's such an empowering, positive, sort of optimistic message, which is, really exciting as a publisher. But just give us a little bit more backstory, because I think we've probably just whet people's appetite when you sort of said you don't make your own story, because your own story is remarkable, and the positions you've held in organizations are also really fascinating. So you bring together, you're sort of at the center of a really interesting Venn diagram. Just talk us through that.
It's a really interesting Venn diagram.
It's a pretty lonely spot, I imagine, but yeah, go on.
I'm that queer kid who grew up in middle America, in a place where I was not seen, I was not heard, and I struggled with my own identity and my own value, and was I enough to create change? And I found my way to policing, and really was, I tell people I'm a public servant at heart, no matter what I'm doing. Found my way to policing, really serving my community, stepping into a space where, in the space of sexual violence, where I felt like, gosh, this is breaking my heart, how police are dropping the ball here and not serving the community and serving those who are coming forward. that would open the door for me being, recruited by Uber back in 2015, 2016 to come and lead there and help them develop safety initiatives and programs. And I would eventually become the head of women's safety there, creating and helping create a lot of the technology you see on the platform, but building teams and building programs within that organization that would serve the public. And then I find my way to being the VP of safety and social advocacy for the largest dating app platform in the world. And I was serving the world in teams that, around the world that I was leading and developing a lot of those same programs in the space of social impact, in the space of safety, but also helping organizations understand how to create safe spaces for their employees, particularly if they were employees that live in those margins. How do we elevate them? How do we empower them? How do we create an inclusive space that is inclusive of those communities, but really brings everyone into community? And so that was kind of that interesting story in a short piece of how I navigated, but how doors opened for me to really be a leader. And that really started with me and the personal work I had to do on myself. And that really opened the door for opportunities for me to become a leader and serve others and help others rise and elevate others in the community, particularly women and members of the marginalized communities that I'm part of.
It's an amazing, as you say, mix of your own personal work and the work that you do on behalf of organizations. But I think also what it really highlights is how unintended consequences, how actually what we set up, if we're not thinking consciously, if we're not including everyone, if we're not building in safety, it really quickly becomes a way of marginalizing people, a way of making communities feel unsafe. That has to be a kind of really intentional core part of the spaces that we create, not just online, but particularly online.
Exactly, online and in real life. And when we're able to create a circle of safety, people will just flourish. They will flourish in the workplace and they will flourish personally, because we're creating safe spaces where they feel like they can become fully who they are and where they feel that they belong. And
but those by accident.
Journey of becoming, right? We're always on a journey of becoming, and we want to be in spaces where we feel we belong. And when we do, and when we feel supported, we will serve that organization, that community, that consumer like never before.
Yeah, and that's the power of it, isn't it? It's good for individuals. It keeps individuals safe. It keeps individuals feeling empowered, but it's really, really good for the communities that they find themselves in as well at every level. It's a really important book, and we're dead proud to have published it. So thanks for that. and again, congratulations on being shortlisted. Obviously you weren't in the room with us in London when it was announced.
Yeah.
How did you react when you found out?
I think it's always interesting to see how you respond to things like this. This one was very personal for me because this is my story. It's also the story of many others in my community. And my initial response was not like, a big, fist pump or like, happy and this is great. I started crying. And it brought tears to my eyes, and it almost brings tears to my eyes thinking about it now. Because at the heart of it, it sends the message that, oh my God, somebody did see us. Somebody did hear us. And there's no more important time than right now that our voices and our stories are being uplifted and elevated in this climate, particularly, what's happening in the US and the world. Our stories are powerful, and somebody taking the time to elevate our voice and our story will help raise the consciousness of the public. It will help create change. And it was really, it was really heartwarming because it was like, wow, they elevated somebody's voice who needs to be heard that doesn't always get elevated in this space. So there was a lot of tears involved in it. I felt it at the core of my soul.
That's really profound. And I'm not crying, you're crying. And I hope you'll be able to join us on the 10th of September in London. It would be so cool to have you there. I know it's a long way to come, but there'll be a lot of practical inspiration authors there cheering along with you. So, but in the meantime, enjoy the moment. I hope that this really does bring the book back into sort of people's awareness and focus, because my goodness, we need it now more than ever. And thanks for your time today. It's been really, really good talking to you.
Oh, thank you, Alison, and thank you so much for having me.